Tim, Mr. Whalen. Can you get Nate for me, please? I need Nate. Can you help that? Just kidding.
We have
Adam Modero.
Here.
Larry Jogers.
Here.
Brooke Deininger. Scott Helms.
present.
Jackie DeMeester.
Here.
Nicole Baker.
Present.
Steve Frick.
Present.
Ryan Brandt.
Present.
Tim Whalen.
Here.
14 present, 2 absent.
First, would you lead us in prayer, and Mr. Brandt, pledge?
Right. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. Meeting to guide us with your wisdom in every issue we discuss and vote on. We ask you to help us stay focused and engaged. Please send a peaceful spirit of cooperation, respect, and teamwork in all that we do and say. We thank you in advance for your help and guidance tonight. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a reminder, if everyone would please make sure that they're speaking directly into their microphones so that people on the internet are able to hear them. Is there an approval of the agenda? Mr. Frick, is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Hart. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the November 15th, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
And Mr. Bush, is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Baker. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will now go to public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak to public comment, please come up to the podium, state your name, and we will give you 3 minutes.
My name is Dale Rasmussen. I'm the county engineer. I'd like to draw your attention to the 2 spreadsheets I laid out in front of you. I'll cover the first one, and I'll do this as quick as I can. The first one, I'd like to draw your attention to the pavement preservation plan. You can see what the county highway department has done over the last 7 years. And then you can see what is planned over the next 3 years. And these are pavement preservation projects. This is what we're doing, we're trying to preserve what we have. It doesn't enhance it. So if you look at the bottom colored ones, the yellow and the tan underneath it, those are the ones that are unfunded. The roadway has deteriorated to the point where we can't use pavement preservation fund for it. So McConnell Road, you saw what that would look like. If you've seen what it looks like now, it's in pretty good shape. So when that was a full depth reclamation. Our pavement preservation, we do that with seal coating and cold place recycling. But if it's gotten so bad, then you have to do full depth reclamation. So if we have, if you're seeing Baylorville Road, Cedarville Road, and O'Connell Road, that's what we've done with full depth reclamation. And If I get a chance, I can show you what we've done over the last three years, using funds that we've received from the board. So if that funding dries up, then we will not be able to do these unfunded projects. We won't be able to finish Cedarville. We won't be able to get to Dakota Road or Rock Road. Next, I'll show you, and there's about $10 million worth of unfunded projects as it stands right now. And then I'll show you the bridge projects that we've got. You can see the color coding is on in the lower left-hand corner. The green projects are ones that we've done since I've been here. The red ones are on hold for one reason or another. And then you can see by year which ones we've done. And we've got bridges planned over the next up to 2030. We have about $5 million worth of funding that we need for future bridge work. So that's right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lynette Williams, and I live in District E in Freeport. On Monday, November 13th, I attended the Finance Committee meeting. Myself and 7 or 8 other community members spoke in opposition of the TCM contract with the Walden Acres being severed. At the end of the public comment in the Finance Committee meeting, this matter was referred back to the Nursing Center Committee. I feel TCM is doing as good a job as they possibly can based on the obstacles that this board has faced in front of them. In my opinion, the board is doing its level best to destroy any future for Walnut Acres. Tonight, you'll finalize the budget for 2024. I request you find funding for the HVAC system of Walnut Acres needs in the amount of $200,000. Please keep in mind that the ARPA funds from the federal government to be spent in the best interest of the citizens of Stephenson County right now, not $1 went to Walnut Acres, even though they need a repair or replacement of the HVAC system. I asked the chairman, Mr. Hines, to consider a realignment of board assignments to each committee based on the members' talents and life experience. This is especially true for the Nursing Center Committee. Or another idea for 2024 could be to put a binding referendum on Walnut Acres asking the citizens of the county to decide its fate. As I said at the end of my comments at the finance meeting, I'll see you at the polls in November of 2024. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Helms, distinguished board and guests. My name is Rob Boyer. I am the city manager for the city of Freeport. The city of Freeport is requesting the Stephenson County consider allocating $400,000 to $3 million of its remaining ARPA funds to address the urgent need for roadway improvements within the city limits. Given that 53.7% of the county's population resides in Freeport, where 55% are low to moderate income earners and 40% live below the poverty level, this funding is crucial. Despite the city's efforts, including numerous completed projects and planned work for 2024, there's a significant gap in addressing the 139 miles of roads needing resurfacing. The 2024 focus includes targeted roads based on their condition, traffic volume, location costs, with a balance between contractor-led and city-led projects. The city has planned improvements in all districts with varied allocations based on previous projects and its commitment to a sustained roadway replacement program. We seek continued collaboration with the county and welcome any inquiries or feedback on the improvement program. Within the last 3 to 4 years, the city of Freeport has demonstrated efficiency in deploying capital towards the improvement of the city streets, a testament to our commitment to renewing our transportation infrastructure. This efficiency is evident in the successful completion of several significant road improvement projects funded through road bonds and MFT allocations and others. These projects, encompassing a diverse range of streets and neighborhoods, have not only enhanced the daily lives of our residents, but also showcase our ability to judiciously manage and maximize resources. with an aim of reaching an ambitious but achievable goal of reconstructing 8 miles of city streets annually. The city of Freeport is steadfast in its pursuit to pursue total renovation of all city streets within a 20-year time frame. This target is not just a reflection of our dedication to renewing badly degraded transportation infrastructure, but also an embodiment of our long-term vision for revitalized, well-connected, and thriving community. We've demonstrated in the last 3 to 5 years, approximately 43 street projects that have been completed. We have 3 major ones coming up for completion this in 2024. That's Bradmar Town Drive, Pearl City Road, and Adams Avenue. And I wanted to also mention some folks may be interested to know the city did receive ARPA funds, about $3.2 million. But at the time that those resources were planned, they went to, or they were not allowed for road resurfacing projects, and they went to other infrastructure projects, including sewer force main, license plate reading cameras for enhanced police protection, and several others. So the city of Freeport requests for an additional $400,000, $3 million in ARPA funds from the Stephenson County, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you, Sean Gallagher, Village of German Valley Village Trustee, and also Forest Hill Valley School Board Trustee. I'd like to address the board this evening tonight regarding available funds that you might have in emergency relief for the Village of German Valley. I represent a lot of constituents. Unfortunately, due to our infrastructure aging in the last 50 years, we've taken on already a substantial burden within our village with only 185 households in order to spread that. We've accrued $3.5 million worth of debt repairing our water infrastructure. And unfortunately, during that same period of time, our sewer infrastructure is failing as well. We have asked and reached out to other government agencies to this point, but to no avail. I'm asking you guys tonight to consider possible assistance for us in the amount of $1 million. I realize that's a significant amount of money. However, the Village of German Valley's residents are able to front the first $1 million of a potential $3 million project. In coordination with potential help from you guys at the county of an additional $1 million, and then seeking federal funds or state funds for the remaining $1 million. I don't come here lightly. I've asked for money from this board, I think a couple of times ago as city engineer for the city of Freeport. I certainly know that our tax dollars could be used in a lot of different places. However, I do know that the original funds was designated for Millrace Crossing. Millrace Crossing resides in our fire district. It resides in our school district. And I would greatly appreciate the opportunity of some of that money, although the project didn't work out at Millrace, that some of that money might come back to our corner of the district. The Village of German Valley does not ask for a lot of help. I would not be here as a village trustee if I did not think that help was necessary. We have very difficulty paying our bills. We have an aging population that no longer can afford our current rates that we have raised up to the affordability threshold. That's a federal number of 1.5% per utility. And in order to continue moving forward with this project, we desperately need assistance. So I thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on into unfinished business. Approval of the 2024 County Board and Committee meeting calendar. As you may recall, we did look at this 2 weeks ago. We did add the reorganization meeting to the first Monday in December. With that, is there a motion to approve? By Mr. Jogurst, is there a second? Second. By Mr. Copleen. Is there any discussion? Mr. Whalen.
I would like to make a motion to amend the Monday meetings for the Finance Committee are listed at 5:30 p.m. It should say 6 p.m.
Okay. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Okay, by Mr. Jogurst. Any discussion on the amendment alone? No. Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendment passes back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion on the approval as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Move on to finance, approval of the annual appropriation ordinance for the 2024 budget beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. Mr. Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The annual appropriation ordinance of the County of Stephenson, State of Illinois, for fiscal period beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, and believe that it's a public document that people will be able to read, but I will finish by saying, be it resolved by the County Board of the County of Stephenson, Illinois, that at this adjourned session of the November meeting of said board held at the County Boardroom in Freeport, Stephenson County, Illinois, on the 30th day of November, AD 2023, that the foregoing appropriation ordinance be approved and adopted. And again, we did not raise the rate at all this year, and so on and so forth. So I would move to approve the annual appropriation ordinance as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Brandt. Discussion. Mr. Hart, I see you have your light on. Is that for this?
No.
Okay, Ms. Hayes, I see you're also asking to speak for this.
Can I make a change to the, can I amend it right now?
You may.
I would like to make an amendment to this budget. I would like to take the $1 million from the Highway Department for 2025 and allocate $200,000 of that to the nursing home for the HVAC and $800,000 of that to the city of Freeport for future street projects as the intergovernmental agreement lays out with that.
Okay, is there a second to the amendment? Seeing none, that amendment fails. Mr. Hart?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to complete the HVAC at the nursing home with the funds that we have remaining in our capital account in the 2024 budget. I believe that's Fund 014.
Okay, is there a second to that amendment? By Mr. Copeland. Any discussion? The clerk is asking that you restate the motion, Mr. Hart.
The motion is to provide the HVAC at the nursing center that we need with the surplus funds in our capital fund, which is Fund 014.
Mr. Copeland?
This is a different,
So you're not wanting to speak?
not on this subject.
All right, Mr. Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just say I would vote no on this amendment only because if you look at the error report that just came out today, the nursing center is currently owed $1.516 million of outstanding receipts, and I believe we only owe about $600 and some thousand at this time. So there's a balance of $600,000 that we just collect the money. There's plenty of money to pay for our HVAC system. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Mr. Copeland? Anyone else? Mr. Hadley?
Yes, I support this for the simple reason the current age for these HVACs is anywhere from 27 to 40 years old. We're doing a disservice to the building out there, and we could end up getting in trouble with IDPH in case that we would, air conditioner units would go down and we don't have any replacements out there. So my concern is that we should take care of this problem to avoid problems with IDPH in case our air conditioning units go down. Remember, 27 to 40 years old on these units.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Mr. Hart, you're looking to allocate funds that are already in the 2024 budget in capital and create a new line for the nursing home for the HVAC. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take roll on the amendment.
Jim Hart,
Yay.
Kurt Copeland,
Yes.
Adam Modero,
Aye.
Larry Jokers,
No.
Scott Helms,
Aye.
Jackie DeMeester,
No.
Nicole Baker,
Aye.
Steve Frick,
Yes.
Brian Brandt,
Nay.
Nay,
Nay.
Tim Whalen,
No.
Ronnie Bush,
Aye.
Samuel Newton,
Aye.
Luann Hayes,
No.
William Hadley.
Yes.
Nine A, 5 nay. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Frick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the dollars in the current budget from the ARPA funds and use the $1 million for the 2025 Highway Department and spend those over with the German Valley Village. We just heard the comments from their trustee and engineer and the leaders there, so thank you.
Just for a point of clarification, Mr. Frick, where specifically in the ARPA budget are you looking to remove those funds?
From the 2025 Highway Fund.
Thank you. Is there a second to Mr. Frick's amendment?
Second.
By Mrs. Baker. Discussion. Mr. Jogerst.
Thank you, Chairman. I kind of looked at what was sent out there and did a little research, I guess. It seems to me like the German Valley should probably take care of this $1 million polishing reactor to get back in compliance in the meantime, and then work on getting some federal or state grants to fund the rest of that. As we can see, we're starting to get many of the other villages around the county looking for funding, and there is a limited supply here, so I'm going to vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jogerst. Ms. Hayes.
Yes, I'm also going to be voting no on this. German Valley has 344 residents. And Mr. Gallagher mentioned today they have 185 households. That means that this money would be just touching a very, very small portion of those citizens of Stephenson County. My feeling was that with this windfall of the ARPA money, my hope was that we could touch as many people and as many lives in Stephenson County as possible. That being said, I don't think that taking $1 million and giving it to a village of 344 people really does that, does not fulfill that idea of spreading this out. We received $8 million of federal ARPA funds because of our population. That's why we received all that money. 52% of our population live within the city of Freeport. It is our county seat. We need to take pride in that. We need to give back to the people who live in Freeport a little bit of a windfall. We don't ask them, we ask them every year for property tax, and they really don't get anything out of it. They get to jail. Yeah. But why can't we give back to our city constituents a little bit and help them out? We're not asking for a budget line. This would not happen again. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I think we need to spread it out and affect the lives of as many Stephenson County residents as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the motion that's on the floor, I'd like to amend the motion to divide the money into, and divide the $1 million that's being drawn out of the fund for the highway department in half, with half of it going to the city and half of it going to German Valley.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I'll second that.
By Mr. Whalen. Is everyone clear on where we're at with this? So there's an amendment to the amendment. And Mr. Newton, if I'm clear, you're wanting to move $500,000 to the city of Freeport, $500,000 to German Valley. So we'll move on to discussion on the second amendment. Mrs. Hayes.
Yes. What happens to the next should the next municipality that comes to us and asks us for money. We're giving $500,000 to one municipality. What happens if something happens in Lena or Dakota or Orangeville? They're going to be coming to us for money if they get into a crisis. I just think that we're setting a horrible precedent by sending money to municipalities. Again, Freeport is a municipality, I understand that. But I also believe that it is the biggest population base, and that is why we need to help them. Because we don't usually help them. So I'm just putting that out there. Where are we going to get the money for all the other municipalities that will now come forward and ask for money? Thank you.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes, can I amend?
No. 2 amendments.
All right.
On the original motion. Do you have any discussion on the second amendment?
Yes. I have a problem with taking all of the highway funds for 2025 roads repair from Mr. Rasmussen. We have road repairs, we have to take care of our own stuff. We already took $1 million for 2026 into costs that went up on our HVAC system, repairs for the courthouse, public safety, and the jail. So that would lose $1 million left in 2025 for the highway, or the $2 million for next year, and then the $1 million for 2025. And I can't see all of that going to elsewhere.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hadley?
Yes, Chairman Helm, you brought up a good point last month about if we're going to give, if this gets voted in, $500,000 to German Valley and $500,000 to the city of Freeport, that we need to do an intergovernmental agreement and not write a blank check out, but they would, so Mr. Newton, would you put that in your amendment that, we don't write out a blank check, that they bill us and they'll be paid out of there? That's what you said last month, Chairman Helms, correct?
Right, I would only be interested, now, again, just one board member, but I'd only be interested in participating on a reimbursement basis, not writing a blank check as you just stated. If Mr. Newton decides to do that, we need Mr. Newton to withdraw his amendment and the second that I believe Mr. Whalen made, if you wish to amend it or to correct it. Is there anything else, Mr. Hadley?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Newton, I'm going to go to you just because it is germane to what Mr. Hadley just spoke about, and I will come back to Mr. Frick, Jogurst, and Newton. No, I'm sorry, not Mr. Newton. I'm going to clear all the mics. Well, maybe I won't have to. There we go. Go ahead, Sam.
So, I've had the conversation about the funds that we are giving and receiving. The city of Freeport is giving an in-kind donation on projects that they've already invested up to more than $11 million. So I don't know that what we're doing is significant to a new project, but it will help finish a projects that are already started. So how that reporting would happen is something the board will have to determine, because they're doing an in-kind donation to match the funds we're giving. So I'm not sure at what point we make that, Mr. Hadley or Mr. Chairman, happen for the $500,000. I don't know where we would mark that timeline to give us later.
Well, and if I may, if we were to approve this and we do allocate ARPA funds for 2024 for these expenditures, we would need to enter into, in my opinion, intergovernmental agreements with all entities. That would have to be approved by this body. And my hope is that if the funds are allocated through the appropriation ordinance, that this board would then also agree on that intergovernmental agreement, but there is a risk that may not occur. The intergovernmental agreement that I do have from the city of Freeport includes streets in every district. That's on a $3 million investment, I guess I'll call it. I don't know what that looks like if it's $500,000. I'm pretty sure it probably doesn't mean 2 streets in every district in the city. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
The very fact that they're not making a government agreement will lend itself to some detailed discussion on the terms accountability. So I don't know that we have to do anything at this point, because in order for us to get where we're going to go, we'll have to do a government agreement anyway, and at that point there'll be more terms. So doing it up front, I don't see that it's necessary.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Frick, I don't know if I cleared your, okay, we'll move on then. Mr. Hadley, was there anything else?
No, that's it.
Mr. Jokers?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm gonna vote no on this accessibility possible. We're really taking care of, crime prevention, county roads, and other land-related services. We don't know those are that, and we're just gonna, we're not going to be asking for money, we don't have it. I understand the issues with frequent, this is something that I don't know if this is potholes, and we should be fix those first of all. So I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hayes, I will remind you, this will be the second time for you speaking on the second amendment.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
I'll make it a good one then. No, I was just wondering, has the village of German Valley provided us with a intergovernmental agreement?
No, but one has not been requested either.
May I request it?
You can say whatever you'd like.
Well, I would think that, yes, I would request that. If they're serious about this, we need to know exactly the terms of, I know it's too late for all this, so.
Well, it's really not. I guess what I would say is it's incumbent upon this board to craft the intergovernmental agreement. We're the ones providing the funding.
Did we craft the one for Freeport?
The city did, and I let them do that on that part just because of the many moving parts with 2 streets and 4 districts, sorry. But it would still come back here for this body to approve or amend. You can ask German Valley to, but I guess what I'm saying is the opportunity is this board's to do so if it chooses. Anything else?
I guess not.
Okay. Mr. Brandon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would be voting against this amendment. There's 16 board members here. I and probably 2 others traveled on the gravel road to get to this meeting tonight. It's one notch above what the stagecoach is. So we have to take care of our own roads. It's our responsibility, this group's responsibility, to take care of the roads in this county. Our taxpayers use those roads every day to get to work, to go places, support their family. We need to make the upgrades and the improvements. Mr. Rasmussen gave a nice presentation beginning this meeting. $10 million of unfunded pavement preservation, and we're talking about giving money away. I think we need to take care of our own house. We take care of our own house before you take care of the neighbors, right? So I don't see this as any different. These roads are our responsibility. I would vote no on this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of clarity, if you will. Everything within inside the Stephenson County is our business because we're the county board. So sometimes you have to think more about the entire county as opposed to just the neighborhood you live in. And as it has been stated, most of these communities have not asked us for anything, not that they could. And this pot of funding is not going to be available ever again. So it's not like we're going to be looking to give ARPA funds in the future again. It's a one-time opportunity to sow back in other communities or into our own, as you said, they're all our communities. Everything inside of this four walls are our communities. So I'm just asking the board to think about it like that, at that level, no matter what committee you sit on. Thanks.
Anyone else on the Second Amendment? Mr. Frick.
I would probably be voting. It's difficult to say at this point, but I do want to make a point when we look at German Valley, or we look at Pearl City, or we look at Ryan. Those are all people of our county. But in this situation where the village is here they're looking at some serious issues that need to be fixed, that they haven't been able to fix because they hadn't put in a new water system. Now they're having to come back. Something had to get pushed back like we do on our own budgeting. This is an opportunity for them to get somewhat caught up in an issue that's serious. When you have leaking lagoons, you have lagoons that weren't built correctly in the 70s, almost 50 years ago. Those are things that they're looking at to try to support that community of 180 households of 340 people. And I think it's important that we think of it that way. We spend a lot more money on a lot smaller amount of people. Thank you.
Any other board member that would like to speak to this? Is there any board member that would like to hear from the City of Freeport or from the Village of German Valley regarding the particular amendment and how that would impact their plans? Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from both because the amounts we're looking at are different now.
Okay. Which one would you like to hear from
I'd
first?
like to hear from German Valley first. And the reason for that is my understanding was that they wouldn't be able to use less than $1 million. We only have the one loaf of bread, so if we cut it in half, I'm curious as to whether it'll be used effectively and efficiently.
Okay, very good. Mr. Gallagher, would you mind coming up, please? Go ahead. Sure. Thank you.
In the amount of $500,000, obviously, for a small village, every little bit helps, right? So I'm going to go from one agency to the next, to the next, to the next, asking for money. That helps. Whatever you guys can provide, we will utilize that to the best of our resources. As a civil engineer, I can assure you I'm not going to waste your money. I certainly understand the argument of affecting such a small group of people. However, back to my original point, that was to say that this money was originally coming to our district. Could we get a piece of that, which is different than Lena, which is different than Pearl City, which is different than the other districts that might ask for that money? As far as an intergovernmental agreement, I'd be happy to write you one. I used to write ones to you on behalf of the City of Freeport. So I'm more than familiar with that, and you'll guarantee that any information that you would like during the course of the project, I will provide for you. I will assist with although we'll probably utilize a third-party engineer, I will be foremost and upfront with you. If you need me to come to meetings to explain how your money is spent, I'll be happy to do exactly that.
Any questions for him?
None for me.
Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyer?
I really appreciate everyone's consideration on this matter. It's very good of you to hear us out, and I thank you. First, I wanted to mention that the mill race project was to originate in Freeport. Therefore, German Valley's lack of action on it, or our lack of action not happening whatsoever, was equally as impactful to both communities. So I'd like to get that out first. And second of all, I'd like to say there is an inordinate amount of forgivable loan funds and revolving funds for water and wastewater projects. I am actually a water operator and a wastewater operator also, and I wanted to just mention to you that all these funds would offset the amount of money that would be required to borrow, and it would only impact the rates of the ratepayers. I'm somewhat familiar with this, having dealt with the new water treatment plant construction and implementation in Freeport, and also the anticipated Headworks project. So that's a $60 million project. Also falling in within the realm of Stephenson County, but the City of Freeport has moved forward with a rate increase to accommodate for that construction. So I would simply advise our surrounding communities on water and sewer projects that City of Freeport's done a responsible thing. The ratepayers are covering the costs of their infrastructure, and I would encourage the county board to consider that as a factor. Second of all, the transportation systems in Freeport are obviously very neglected. We are not just asking for money. We have a proven track record, especially in the last 5 years, of deploying resources effectively and efficiently. As I mentioned, there's 43 projects that were completed in that time, and we have several other projects that are going to be done. I anticipate next year will be our largest road reconstruction year ever, with $11 million at Adams Avenue, Pearl City Road, a $1.2 million project of Brad Martintown Drive, another 1.4, and that's just to get started. The city engineers have provided this board with a number of different options in terms of resurfacing projects, and I am here just to or kindly express the need that due to the fact that we are the county seat and we are the largest population center in the county, it would not be inappropriate to use those resources to go toward road projects within the city limits. So with that being said, I'd like to open this up for questions.
Absolutely. Mr. Copeland.
Sure. Earlier this year, the city proposed a 1% sales tax to fund the road and the street projects. Now, this $500,000, how would that affect any future taxes?
Well, Mr. Copeland, I'd like to be able to tell you outright that that would completely diminish the need for a 1% sales tax, but the fact of the matter is we have 139 miles of roads in this town, all of which need some form or fashion, a curb, gutter, ADA ramps, water main, or sewer, right? So it wouldn't really impact it dramatically. However, it would be a cost offset, or it would allow us to focus on a project specifically of the county board's discretion. So whereas it's not going to solve all problems, it's a small piece to the larger puzzle.
Thank you.
Mr. Frick.
Just a quick question, Mr. Boyer. Who set up the funding process on the water and sewer before you came in charge?
Well, as the first rate increase in the city of Freeport was about 2017. As I understand it, was Tom Glendenning, the utility director at the time, that really put shoulder to plowshare to get that done. Also, I put through an equal increase this last summer. So we've also added another $20 approximately to the average ratepayer. Whereas I'm not interested, we're not bragging about the fact that we did a rate increase. It was necessary for our next major projects, the wastewater treatment plant. That would be the headworks, the chemically enhanced primary treatment system, the new lab and office buildings, and UV treatment. By the way, the cleaner our discharge is, the more positive impact that is on the environment, and anybody downstream of the Pecatonic River, downstream of Freeport, is benefiting from a cleaner discharge coming that way. So, did I answer your question?
Maybe not.
Okay.
But
we had two rate increases. Tom Glendenning did the first one, and I did the second one.
My next question goes back to a comment you, and to quote you, you made on the roads being neglected in the city of Freeport, and now they're in the best shape ever. So which is it? And you're going to spend the most money ever this year. I don't know how they can be neglected and be great at the same time.
Oh, I did not say the roads are great. The roads are in deteriorating condition all over the city. We just resurfaced Monterey. One of the business owners that works there has been there for 40 years, said that road hasn't been touched in 40 years. We just resurfaced that road. Okay, so the roads in Freeport haven't had a major road reinvestment program in 20 to 40 years. We have done some roads, and that's good and positive. But recently, we've done more curb-to-curb with resurfacing projects than have been done in a very long time.
Anything else, Mr. Frick?
No.
Ms. Hayes, I know you've spoken twice, but you didn't get the opportunity to ask Mr. Boyer any questions. Do you have any questions for Mr. Boyer?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Boyer, with the 500,000 potential funds coming into Freeport, the projects that you proposed to us, how would those be cut down? Would we just not do as many projects, or a little bit in each district, or how would that wash out?
I don't want to speak for the city council, but I would say that I would be open to the county's will on that, whether that's decide a specific project and figure out what portion of that those funds would cover, whether it would be added to our existing street program that we've already proposed, or whether it would be a small amount on any number of sites. So I'm open to any option as how those resources are deployed, quite honestly.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Mr. Boyer? Okay, thank you, sir.
I appreciate your time and attention. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Any other discussion on the Second Amendment? Mr. Frick.
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Boyer was allowed to take questions. Were there any questions for Mr. Gallagher? Just asking.
Absolutely.
I have a question, Mr. Gallagher.
Sure. Mr. Gallagher, would you come back up, please? And I apologize for not opening it up previously. Wasn't intentional.
Mr. Gallagher, with the potential $500,000 that will be given to German Valley for this project, I'm wondering, as in the case of Freeport, they would match it. Is there any thought as to, would you be able to match those funds from your village?
Certainly. So what we would be looking to do, right now, our average resident is going to pay about $145 for water and sewer. Our affordability threshold is right at $160. So we would look at least to eclipse that, where, we don't want to exceed that. Obviously, that's a poverty level indicator of too much utility expense. So we would look to apply that $15, and hopefully that wouldn't, that might have to come with financing for us, because that's $15 rate over 30 years is $1 million. But yes, we would be prepared to match that with any compensation that we would get from any agency as local money match money.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Gallagher? Mr. Hart.
Question, Mr. Gallagher. If you received the $500,000 and you matched the $500,000, where does that leave you in the overall process of the conundrum you're facing?
The difficulty, obviously, is we can stage this. We can do this with potential grant funding. To the city of Freeport's point earlier, when we did our water system, we did not qualify for any of those grants. That was 100% funded by the village. We spent 3 or 4 years trying to draw up funds for our village, and we were always shown the door no. That's why, given this opportunity, we said, okay, this is local. These people understand us. They oversee the county responsibility. We will ask you guys first. It's not saying that we can't go to those other agencies. However, last time we did not qualify. Unlike the city of Freeport, they have unique circumstances with the demographics that they can get loan forgiveness. We did not get any loan forgiveness on our last IEPA loans. So some of the strategic things that we'd like to do is reach out to the legislature and allow us to refinance our existing water loan with a potential sewer loan and get that out over 30 years to maybe maximize our own liquid assets. But above and beyond that, we've somewhat tapped our wells dry and are looking for any revenue source that we can at least begin the projects that the IEPA is requiring us to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Monroe.
Not a question.
Oh, okay. Anyone else for Mr. Gallagher? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Sean. Mr. Monroe.
I wish the whole board could see how happy it makes Engineer Rasmussen when we tell him he can build another bridge or improve another piece of road. Sitting on the Public Works Committee, one of the best parts of the gig is seeing how happy he gets when we tell him he gets to do more. I don't like the idea of taking any money away from those projects. But there's been a lot of talk about precedent, about setting precedent. I think the careful consideration, the judicious distribution, and the fact that one of the projects we're considering has an element of emergency. I mentioned this last time. The sewer improvements in German Valley probably won't cause a great catastrophe tomorrow. But we have part of our population, again, countywide, that is in need. Of course, I would love if we had twice the funds and we could give everyone everything. And we could point fingers and blame, but that's worthless. That's a waste of our time. We have an opportunity to give some where it's needed and some where it would be appreciated. We have an opportunity to be a team player. It's not going to make anyone as happy as it makes Engineer Rasmussen when we allow him to build more roads, but it does distribute it. It does spread it out. All things being equal, we would all decide something different based on our populations, based on where we represent, based on our own histories. Given the options on the table, though, this seems like the most well-distributed consideration. Again, not going to make anyone as happy as they would like to be, but it's also not going to anger anyone as much as they could be. And it shows, again, cooperation on our part. One of the biggest criticisms we get as a board is that our attention is only in one direction or this direction. This shows that we are considering everyone. As much as they would like, that's never going to happen. But we have at least heard them out and are taking that into account. And again, I do think it's worth emphasizing. The sewer system in German Valley, I have no idea what the actual condition is. I haven't looked at the pipes. But if things go wrong, that's not just a problem for German Valley. That's a problem for the whole county. That's transportation, that's ecological, not to mention infrastructure. That makes me very nervous.
Thank you. Anyone else before we vote on the second amendment? Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering if perhaps we could have Mr. Wall speak to how this impacts our ARPA plan, when that needs to be presented, and how that would interplay with this.
Sure. Would you be willing to come up? Thank you.
Could you repeat your question, Mr. Hart, please?
My question was, how would this interplay with the plan that you need to create and have approved for the ARPA funds? In terms of both when that plan is, when it needs to be submitted, when it needs to be approved. We've got some intergovernmental agreements we need to perfect, and all of those things. I think we understand the the money's part. I'm curious about the process.
Right, so I file a quarterly report with the U.S. Treasury. The funds have to be allocated, or a plan has to be in place by the end of 2024, and then the money has to be spent by the end of 2026. So as long as we have a plan in place and I can submit that plan to the Treasury, we'll be fine.
When would you submit it? When would it need to be submitted?
By December 31st of 2024.
Okay. And then they approve or disapprove, and we go through that process, and it all needs to be spent by the end of 2026.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for Mrs. DeWall while she's here? Mr. Newton.
In 2024, how much funds are we spending for the highway department in 2024?
Currently, there's $2 million allocated for
Project.
2024, yes.
2024.
It's the extra.
All right, if you recall, we moved $1 million extra because of McConnell Road.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Anyone else for Mrs. DeWall? Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I have a question. As far as the highway department goes, is there not a line item already there for road improvements for the highways in our budget? I mean, there's always a line item in the budget, correct?
There
It's
are
not
several
just-
funds where they pay for,
Right,
yeah,
and that's an annual budget.
yes.
Yes, this is just, we're just talking about, this is the cherry on top.
Yes, they have asked for $1 million. That has been a standing supplemental request for the highway department for the past few years, because the road projects are underfunded. So that $1 million ask is going to be coming up year after year.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, thank you, Mrs. DeWall. I'm going to ask the clerk to restate the Second Amendment before we vote.
The second amendment is to, out of the $1 million for 2025 from the highway department, to divide that $1 million and $500,000 of it to go to the city of Freeport and $500,000 of it to go to Jordan Valley.
So the state's attorney is reminding me that if this amendment passes, that approves the original motion, which passes the appropriation ordinance as presented. Correct?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Were we just voting on the Second Amendment?
I'm sorry, I think actually I told you wrong, I apologize. We're just voting on the Second Amendment.
Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Samuel Newton.
Aye.
Luann Hayes.
No.
William Hadley.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Yes.
Kurt Copeland.
Yes.
Adam Modero.
Aye.
Larry Jogers.
No.
Scott Holmes.
No.
Jackie DeMeester.
No.
Nicole Baker.
Aye.
Steve Frick.
Yes.
Brian Brandt.
No.
Tim Whalen.
Yes.
Ronnie Bush.
Aye.
Nine A, 5 nay. Motion carries.
Okay, we are back to the original motion of approving the appropriation ordinance. Is there anything else before we vote for final passage? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Tim Whalen.
Yes.
Ronnie Bush.
Aye.
Samuel Newton.
Aye.
Luann Hayes.
Aye.
William Hadley.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Yes.
Kurt Copeland.
Yes.
Adam Modero.
Aye.
Larry Jogers.
Aye.
Scott Holmes.
Aye.
Jackie DeMeester. Nicole Baker.
Aye.
Steve Frick.
Yes.
Brian Brandt.
No.
13A, 1 nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Whalen, anything else on the finance?
No, sir.
All right, very good. We'll move on to public comment. If anyone would like to speak, please come up to the podium and state your name. You'll be given 3 minutes.
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. That was very appreciated, and those funds will go to excellent use. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would also like to echo the City of Freeport's comments. We greatly appreciate the funding opportunity and look forward to meeting your demand. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Approval of interim nursing home administrator. This is being put on the agenda tonight as our current interim administrator has given her notice, I believe, to be effective December 31st of this year. The administrator and I did interview 2 candidates that were provided to us through MedBest, which we engaged as a board back in August of this year. Tobin and Associates did not provide any candidates. I was given 3 resumes tonight at 5 o'clock from TCM. One of the candidates is in Oskaloosa, Iowa, which is 3.5 hours away. Another one is in Marion, Illinois, which is almost 6 hours away. And the other is in Colorado, over 13 hours away. When I spoke to TCM earlier tonight, they had indicated that the 3 candidates they would send would be within driving distance every day. Obviously, that is not the case. I asked for clarification. They indicated that these 3 candidates, if selected, would be willing to move to Freeport, even on an interim basis. Before you, we do have a resume and also an amendment to the MedVest agreement, and that is on, bear with me here, Adriana Avila, and she is here tonight. So before we have any discussion, is there a motion to approve this and put it on the floor?
Motion to approve.
By Mrs. Baker, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mrs. Hayes. Discussion. Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman, do we have a permanent candidate in the office?
The county administrator and myself are interviewing a candidate that TCM has provided us tomorrow. This candidate is somewhat local. Permanent license in October, I believe, and had been operating for or temporary license.
Follow-up question.
Of course.
Can we postpone this a little bit, because we may have a permanent candidate and not have a need for an interim person? And, you know, the 3 options that you just mentioned don't seem viable to me at first blush anyway. I know that this person, from the information that we're going to talk to right now, would be a fine candidate. I'm just wondering if we might be able to forestall this a little bit to see if, in fact, we do have a permanent candidate that we can go with. Is this something we need to pull the trigger on right now, or can we wait a little bit to do that?
Sure. And as you and I spoke earlier about this, the reasoning for me bringing this forward tonight is we don't know what's going to happen with the existing candidate that we have between now and December 31st. We don't know if she'll take another position if this is not approved. We don't know if there'll be candidates available. As recent as last month, TCM had 0 interim candidates for us. Tobin and Associates could not provide us with a candidate. So for the better part of 60 to 75 days, we have only been able to come up with 2. So of course, it's up to the pleasure of this board as to whether we approve something tonight or we do not. Just as a reminder, December 31st is the current interim administrator's last day. We do need to operate that facility with a licensed administrator in place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Whalen.
I was just looking, I don't know, is she gonna come up, or we're gonna ask questions?
Absolutely, if that's what you would like.
I would appreciate that.
Mrs. Avila, would you mind coming up, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up, and if you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then Mr. Whalen, if you'd like to go ahead after that.
Hello, my name is Adriana Avila. I am an interim administrator. I've been doing interim jobs for about 2 years. I've been in healthcare for about 10 years. I started out at assisted living, and then I went over to the skilled side, and ever since then, for about the last 4 years, I've been doing long-term care. To follow back up on the comment, there is quite a shortage of nursing home administrators. I've been working out of Illinois. I've been in Florida for a brief period, and I do interim jobs because it's a big job, but I enjoy what I do. The day that I don't enjoy what I do, I'll do something different. I have a soft spot for the geriatric population. I feel that they should be treated with dignity and respect, and that is always my ultimate goal. Do you guys have any questions?
Go ahead, Mr. Whalen.
I was just curious, you had partially answered the first question about the interest in being an interim administrator. Is there something that would entice you to pursue a permanent position somewhere?
Right now, what I do like about the positions is being interim. I do have a family at home, so I take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks off, and then I go back onto another assignment. The assignments are normally very busy is a good word, because a lot of times if there hasn't been a sitting administrator or they're in their survey window, or there's a lot of things to get put in place to be able to not get fined or be in trouble with the state. I know a gentleman had mentioned something about IDPH. The regulations have changed, and so now there's a lot of education that has to be given to the board to know what your responsibility, your roles and responsibility are when you manage a nursing home. And my part is education, to be able to make sure that people understand and we're in compliance with not only IDPH but also CMS, the OIG, the Department of Justice, and so there's just a lot of things that have to be, people have to be educated on.
Thank you. What is your current expectation, like if you were to enter this role in terms of longevity? 3 months, 6 months?
The contracts are normally from 30 to 90 days.
Lastly, I did notice on your resume, the expiration date of your Illinois license, at least shows on here, is today.
Correct. It's been
It's being
renewed. No, it's
Just
been,
wanted to hear you say that.
yes, it's been renewed.
That would not be good.
No, it wouldn't be good, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Newton?
Thank you, Chairman. My question had to do with procedurally. If we were to make the decision to lay over, could we give in 2 weeks we're going to be meeting for board meetings. Could this board give the nursing home committee the power to make that contract if they needed to at that meeting, since you have some business that will obviously take place in the next week or so? By the time you meet, you'll have met with the majority of the people. We need to, and if the board consents to it, I don't see a problem with the nursing home committee making a decision to hire or to go the next step that needs to be done. So I just want to know, can we do that? Is that okay? Can we give consent to do that for the committee?
I believe all contracts need to be approved by this body.
Full board. So that have a special meeting if we didn't do it tonight.
Correct, and we're actually 3 weeks out from the next board meeting, which also puts us within roughly 8 or 9 days of the termination that the current administrator, that date that she has given us. And again, I'm not saying that we have to do this tonight, but it's been very difficult to find candidates, period, and I would hate to miss out on that opportunity and get to December 31st and not have someone in place.
Thank you, Chairman. I think my only thought was that you have some major decisions and interviews to do in the next 72 hours or so. So it sounds like there might have more decisions decided. But that's all I have.
Ms. Avila, to go along with Mr. Newton's question, if this board were to approve the agreement tonight, would you be willing to wait 2 weeks to start, or what would your expectation be of starting?
I could wait 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I do have a question. So is your window is open currently?
I believe so.
Okay.
referencing the survey window, correct?
The annual survey, correct.
Mr. Hadley?
Yes, I got one question for her, and then I got something for the chairman to ask him a question. I see you have a upcoming vacation. Is that a one-day vacation on January 2nd of 2024, or is that?
Yes, it's a 1 day.
Oh, just a 1 day?
Yeah, I'm just doing a long thing.
Okay, good, that's all. This is not a question to you, but working previously with the previous Tobin, we were able to always, they have a price set. We were always able to, of course, $105 an hour was way up what we were getting from Tobin. Did we talk to MedVest to see if we could get that figure down a little bit from 105?
I don't believe that we did.
Because there is some flexibility. That when we were working with Tobin, we were a customer of Tobin, they were able to bring the price down a little bit, I would, ask MedVest, could we, save $10 an hour or something like that, It is pretty steep, 105 an hour,
I agree.
I know you're worth it, but it's pretty steep.
Mr. Jogerst?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Hammond kind of touched on what I was going to ask. I was looking at your rates as well.
Actually, I'm sorry, those are not my rates, those are the agency.
Yeah. So approximately how many hours would we be working each week? Would it be 40 hours a week?
32 to 40, correct.
32 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just using the calculator. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you speak to when we had the interview about how many days per week you'd be on site and how that would work?
We spoke about 4 days a week, is that what we spoke about?
I thought it was 5, but it would be spread out
Okay.
throughout the week where it may not be Monday through Friday.
Right, it is a 2-hour commute, so we talked about 5 days, but that could include maybe some weekends to offset, not driving during traffic, so. But I wanna say lodging was that an option? I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. There's lodging,
Yeah.
food per diem, and mileage. Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Jogerst? Okay, Mr. Brandt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. My question is about the end of your contract. You said that typical contract's 30 to 90 days. I think yours is 60, correct?
I have not seen it, but they did talk to me about that, yes.
So what happens at the end? Is there an automatic extension or one that can be negotiated? What kind of terms are there in the contract for extending this?
Normally, the contracts, we can go ahead and extend it. The idea is to be able to find a permanent nursing home administrator, and ideally, we would want to transition the new person, with the interim, then that way there's a handoff versus just starting from scratch.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Mr. Hart?
Just a clarification to Mr. Newton's point. If we approve this evening, we don't have to start the contract with the firm for 2 weeks. Is that what I heard correctly or no?
Well, if the contract is approved tonight, we would enter into that engagement. However, before doing that, I would reach out to MedVest on Mr. Hadley's recommendation to see if there is any room to reduce that hourly wage. So I'm assuming we would approve this, if it's approved, at what's in the addendum before us at 105, obviously not to exceed. Ms. Avila, if we entered into that and we had a start date of December 15th, 14th, whatever day of the week that is, are you?
I would.
You're good with that? Okay. One question, if you wouldn't mind addressing, and we talked about this in the interview, how, I guess your experience with management companies, as we spoke about, we have a management company in place that currently does the billing. Could you speak to your experience with not this management company, but others that you've had, or your experience on the overall operation?
So normally, sometimes management companies, it's an all-in-one, all-inclusive. They have the administrator, which I think they're trying to provide, along with the billing. They offer oversight as far as being able to offer cost savings with whether it's the dietary, the ordering of any supplies for the community, and then helping with any life safety projects that have to be going on. I did not look at the survey from last year, and I did not look at the life safety. I don't know. I did tour the facility this evening, but ideally the management company is able to help with the oversight of the billing, which right now has CMS has added or changed different rules as far as the reimbursement for Medicare, Medicaid, depending on the clinical needs of the person. So I guess in partnership, we work together to be able to get the building to the best of its ability.
Thank you. And finally, I just want to be clear to everyone, I was very transparent with Ms. Avila in our interview regarding the dynamic of a publicly owned home in the current situation that we have. With that, Ms. Avila, you're still not scared, correct?
Not as long as you guys aren't.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for Ms. Avila while she's up here? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Nicole Baker. Aye. Steve Schreck.
Yes.
Brian Brandt.
Aye.
Tim Whalen.
Yes.
Ronnie Bush.
Aye.
Samuel Newton.
Aye.
Luann Hayes.
Yes.
William Hadley.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Aye.
Kurt Copeland.
Yes.
Adam Monroe.
Aye.
Larry Jogers.
Aye.
Scott Helms.
Aye.
Jackie DeMeester. No. 13A, 1 nay. Motion carries.
Very good, thank you. No other business before us. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Bush, second by Ms.
I'll second.
Hayes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.